Welcome, everybody. It is 10 a.m. Here we are for a new part of the Enology webinar series. Today, we are discussing data management. And my name is Andrea Botezato. I am an associate professor and Enology extension specialist with Texas A&M and Texas AgriLife Extension Services. Introducing our presenters today, we have Patrick Barber, who has a wealth of experience in the wine industry, having worked across diverse styles of wine production and operations on a global scale. Transitioning into consulting, Patrick has collaborated with wineries and livestock businesses worldwide to tackle industry-specific challenges. As Vice President of Product Development at New Verge, he leads the development of innovative solutions like NewTrax Wine, a transformative winemaking management platform built on Nextworld's no-code, low-code technology. Patrick's expertise and passion for innovation have reshaped how wineries and agricultural businesses manage their operations. And we also have Mr. Liubomir Popovici, who brings over 30 years of experience in the wine industry, starting as an assistant winemaker and advancing to senior roles, overseeing operations for both high-end and commercial wineries. With a strong foundation in winemaking, Liubomir transitioned to IT, focusing on developing and implementing winery management solutions. His ability to combine deep industry knowledge with cutting-edge technology has driven operational efficiency and competitive advantages for wineries around the world. And with that, gentlemen, please take it away.
Thank you, Andrea, and good morning, everyone. So welcome to today's webinar, Unlocking the Power of Winemaking Data. What we're trying to achieve here is, how do we overcome challenges and drive efficiency? I'm Patrick Barber, and I'm the Vice President of Product Development here at New Verge. Joined with Liubomir, our Senior Business Consultant and my Senior Developer, experienced winemaker, and he's been very pivotal in our decision and our direction in producing our product that you guys are going to see today.
Well, yeah, thank you, Patrick. I'm really thrilled to be here for this webinar. I know both of us have spent years working with various systems for various wineries. Myself, as someone who has spent years in winemaking at wineries of various sizes and stages of growth, I understand firsthand challenges that either vineyard managers or winemakers are facing daily. I am looking forward to discussing how NewTrax Wine can help you overcome those challenges, considering best-in-class solutions that are available. So, Patrick, could you walk us through what we'll be covering in the webinar?
Yes, of course. All right. So, the main thing is we're going to be looking at industry challenges. How do we address them? What are fragmented systems, and how do we actually meet compliance and work with them? Data management strategies. What is a smarter way of utilizing your data? Both getting information into the system, and then how do you actually use it? We'll give you guys a couple of success stories just on a few real life scenarios that we've actually witnessed ourselves. We'll dive into the system a little bit, just showing you a little bit about the platform itself and a couple of examples of what to be able to be seen or done. And then at the end, we'll end up with an interactive Q&A session, hopefully. So hopefully throughout the session, you guys will come up with some questions that we'll be able to answer. All right, so let's begin with the challenges of winemakers face today. As everyone knows, winemaking is more than just what's seen on the surface. Managing compliance, operations, scaling with your business, and then so much more. So all of this needs to be done while trying to maintain your brand's quality. You never ever want to risk that, obviously. So let's go with this. So Liubomir, what are the key challenges that you see?
Yeah, I mean, great question, Patrick. You already mentioned one. I will bring four of them. The one that you mentioned, obviously, is the fragmented systems. But at the same time, the other ones that I see are operational visibility, compliance reporting, and scaling data management. Now, if we are to talk about fragmented systems, um, many wineries out there juggle with disconnected tools that lead to inefficiencies and silos. We came across a winery uh, using three systems. One system for recording viticulture, some viticulture and winemaking data, another system for financials, and a third system for handling finished goods. When it comes to reconciling data from all three systems into a single report, that had to be done manually, and it required time-consuming activities in order to create such a report, which resulted in delays. There could be potential errors that result from that, and obviously there are additional costs that the winery is going through uh, by doing a manual activity like this one. If we are looking at industry leading systems. Those In those cases, one system handle the entire aspect from viticulture side to the finished good and everything kind of in between.
So
Now,
Lumir,
yes,
I see on the screen you've got here you have like a pros and cons piece, and you've got flexibility on one side and inefficiencies on the other. Can you explain a little bit more why you've actually got those there?
yeah. So as I mentioned in this example that I provided, that obviously the inefficient is in that time, additional time that it's being consumed. But also, let's say somebody from finance that needs to see um, if if the grapes that arrived, I don't know, a few hours ago or yesterday have been processed, they might not be able to see if that's not executed or if it's not available or if that particular individual doesn't have access to the other system. And it has to manually pick up maybe the phone and ask the winemaker on those type of information. So that can lead to inefficiencies. From flexibility perspective, yes, like having a financial system that it's kind of separate that allows for some specific functions to be executed if those are not available on the winemaking side, for example.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if we are talking about operational visibility, without real-time insights, managing production, inventory, and demand planning, it just becomes a guessing game altogether. So, for example, if I talk about real-time inventory, and I will give an example of what we came across with two large size California wineries that are using the JD blend and grower system. Posting transactions in that system will take a number of days, up to a week, until everything is being posted. So in those cases, for those two entities, the winemakers are using a whiteboard on the wall where they have all their vessels and they are updating as the activities are happening in the cellar manually what is happening. Um, the cutting edge systems out there have those type of data updated as soon as the operation is being finalized. Some of the data it might be updated through integrations, for example. So if you have, let's say, um, a FOSS unit, or if I stay in the cellar, let's say you have a tank net system connected to your vessels, so the data from that system automatically through integrations is being pulled in and it's being available, relevant, upfront, available for the winemaker to consume it and make decisions on it. Another example, if I talk a little bit about contracts, in particular contract statuses and harvest records, we came across a medium-sized winery that was handling contracts outside of any system. So doing a manual kind of update for contracts. And in that case, let's say the financial department would have to reach out, or they had to communicate verbally between themselves in order to identify exactly what's happening with a specific grower or a specific vineyard, internal vineyard, as far as the grape supply was concerned. If we are looking at leading edge systems, they do have all that automated, meaning that the contract statuses update automatically based on specific informations, like contract termination date or evergreen clauses that you might have in the contract, that those statuses are automatically updating when the right time comes. Or if a new harvest is coming along, harvest records are automatically generated by such systems and do not have to be manually inputted, which can be time consuming and prone to errors. The last example I want to give here is from demand planning perspective, because there are multiple wineries out there that are doing kind of a manual exercise prior to harvest. So in that particular case, it provides a kind of a late visibility to what demand forecasting is altogether. If we are to consider what will be the best case with the best systems, it's knowing the demand supply situation at any moment in time for any lot, for any finished good that you have in inventory at that moment. So you can just pull out a report and totally know exactly if you're too long or too short with that particular lot. Now, if we move on into compliance reporting for a second, staying on top region-specific regulations, it's time-consuming. It can be prone to errors as well. There are changes that are happening all the time. Those can be related to, let's say, new appellations that come into play, or a change to legislation that impacts a certain additive, and it might impact the quality. So quality specifications are kind of important from that perspective. And we've seen wineries out there that do not necessarily incorporate compliance specifications data as top systems. Not only that they have those quality specifications in place, but they allow wineries to set up internal specifications for even a tighter element when compared to the regulatory one, which puts them in a winning position to ensure that they will be in compliance every single time with their winemaking altogether. And then lastly, if I'm going and talking about scaling data management, as wineries grow, their legacy systems often struggle to keep up, and that has an impact on efficiency and quality as well. We've seen situations or we've been in the situations, as a matter of fact, when wineries in their growth stage, sometimes they merge with another winery, or just extend. So they have a need for an additional users to be handled by their data management system, or they have now a need for handling multiple sites within the system. In such cases, wineries either change systems or add functionalities to a legacy system. Those projects can last multiple months, in some cases even a couple of years, and we've seen that ourselves in the past. And that can be not only time-consuming, but also extremely costly. If I shift on the other side, and I'm giving an example of, in cases of, let's say, small wineries that are set to stay a single size or stay with the number of products that they are producing and not increase, we did came across situations where additional information becomes required, perhaps due to internal stakeholders' needs, perhaps due to some legislative changes that are taking place, or because of some market changes that happened. So those are kind of the four segments with kind of examples that come to mind, Patrick.
The one thing I wanted to ask, so you got your current system struggles, right? And it impacts efficiency. How does our system help in improving those efficiencies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually a good segue into our next section. We do address those pain points in different ways, and we will be talking about that in our next section.
Excellent. All right, so what you've spoken about obviously underscores why centralized and real-time solutions like Nutrax One, I mean, it's important, right? So the ability to make sure that we've got everything in one place, we've got the ability to be able to automate and sort out a compliance type of reporting, integrated scales inside the system and being able to pull information directly from the header units themselves. And then everyone is working towards AI. And, the way that we've sort of looking at that at the minute is, the ability to be able to link real type conversational lookups to help text, or understanding what is the next process and maybe your month-end close that you need to be doing. So that's how we're sort of working with that type of information from an AI standpoint. So, I mean, the main question that we've got at the minute is, how does Nutrax Wine actually help winemakers tackle these challenges? And one of the things that we try and hit home all the time here is, centralizing the data, having one system that's going to deal with everything from, farming through to bottling, through to, your actual sales process, farming from like what type of operations need to happen, what sort of equipment are you going to be using out there, what do you need to do from a preparation standpoint on what is happening with your crop, through to what's going to be used once you've actually got that intake happening, going into your production oversight. So understanding where everything is, what each lot is situated inside your system at any point in time, and being able to work out not only from a production to end date standpoint, but it's also understanding the costs associated to that, or how this is going to impact your actual supply and demand in the future. Quality control. So Lume mentioned a little bit earlier on about a FOS system. So I mean, if you've got your own lab and you do utilize your own FOS units, you can pull information directly from those systems directly into the system, so you don't need to actually go out and manually enter anything. Or if you use other services like I don't know, ETS or something like that, being able to link to their systems and pull the results back into ours, and then based on the results that you are getting back, you can drive automations on reporting or suggestions on what should be happening at any stage, whether a test has passed or failed, based on quality test thresholds.
Specifications that we just mentioned a little bit earlier, right? So having those specs in place for the certain tests allows visibility through messaging.
All right, and then distribution coordination. I mean, the main thing over here isn't, we're actually doing the distribution piece. We're actually working with companies to be able to work out, what should be packed and how should it be packed. Or if you're talking about intake, how many trucks are coming in at a certain date and time, or, do we have enough trucks scheduled for that day's intake? And it's just being able to have that sort of visibility for you. And then coming in the near future is, sales and marketing, which then drives into a more in-depth forecasting tool and module that we'll be able to use, and also give winemakers a better voice, for lack of a better way of saying this. So, I mean, being able to state exactly what and how and why a certain wine was made the way it was made, and that can be used in any sort of marketing that your company would want to be doing. So, I mean, sorry to coin a phrase, but I mean, one platform to rule them all. I mean, that's essentially what we're trying to get here, is have one place that can do everything that you need it to do. Always understanding that there will always be some systems that we need to integrate to, link to, or export out to. But for the most part, everything in one piece over here.
Patrick, you mentioned the sales as a future element. Are there any sales data aspects that are integrated at the moment?
Perfect. So yeah, what I was about to show here is, so wine, Nutrix for Wine is a standalone agnostic product. It's sold as itself, but also comes on a platform that has got other modules integrated into it already. So, I mean, if you're talking a full ERP type of suites, ERP, EPA type of suite, we've got financials, procurement, advanced inventory, distribution, all of that's already built into the system, and we can leverage off any part of that platform. But then, like I said, it is agnostic. So if you are already running, a JE, QuickBooks, NetSuite, those type of systems already, so the two systems can integrate with each other and then share data bidirectionally. And that's made possible because of the platform system. It's got its own built-in API layer, so a communication tool that sits in there natively already. So you don't need to have any sort of disparate type of middleware that has to integrate with anything. And then also, just to hop on a little bit more, I've already said that AI is inside the system, but we're also talking about the whole platform itself is mobile aware, so you can use it on any device that has got a browser, essentially. So phones, tablets, laptops, PCs, doesn't really matter. As long as you've got a browser, you can get to it, and you should be good to go from there.
Great. If we are talking about providing real-time insights, the users are tracking operations as they happen. reducing delays and improving decision making. And what I mean by that, reducing delays. If I take an example, a real life example out there for grapes scheduled from a specific block to arrive, let's say this afternoon at a certain point in time at a pre-scheduled hour. If there is a change, factor by elements outside of the viticulture control, and changes to the schedule need to take place, and perhaps somebody that's on at the block site, it's making those changes live directly in the vineyard, perhaps on their mobile device. In that particular case, the system, through informative messaging on key factors affecting the load itself, they would drive alerts to users, to specified users, advising them on changes and bringing up front and center that those changes to the schedule are about to take place. That allows them to shift and make decisions quickly, allowing for a smooth operation and avoiding delays or impacts that changes to the schedule because of block X. It's not going to arrive in time. If I'm staying, let's say, still on the viticulture side, and I'm talking about continue to talk about the decision making from kind of a similar perspective, we do integrate with weather systems out there. What that means? It means that if I have some grapes scheduled to be harvested, let's say 2 days from now, and there is a change to the weather, and that type of data, it's being automatically brought in the system alerts the users, specific users that are designated to know that the weather, incoming weather, is going to impact a specific schedule, allowing them to make a decision if they still want to proceed with that original schedule, or they would like to perhaps make a change and reschedule due to perhaps a heavy rain that now suddenly is going to take place versus the time that was originally scheduled, everything looked fine. So that's kind of important. Enhancing operational efficiencies, we talked about those integrations to either FOSS or Anton Par or a different system that you might have in your quality laboratory. So long gone the days where the winemaker needs to actually physically go inside of the quality lab and look through some paperwork and locate some test results for a specific lot. They can have that type of information available to them in the system as that test result becomes available, and it allows them to make decisions quickly. We know how, especially during harvest, how important it is to have information and data on your lots that you're processing fast, so you can make the best decisions to the grapes that you're processing or the wine that you're making.
So, Lumi, I've got a quick question. Improving
Yes.
decision making. So there was a story a little while ago where, as a company, they were doing a little bit of a spray out in the vineyard, and it just so happened that there was also a shopping center that was very close by. Is there a way that our system could have prevented that overspray that ended up happening?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there are certain elements that Nutrax wine allows or has functionality pre-built when it comes to handling sprays altogether. Let me start with the chemicals. So you have, as a user, the ability and the capacity to set up your spraying chemicals and define exactly, let's say, dosage rates, define entries in the vineyard post-spray, and and then through the automations that we have in place, if somebody needs to access a certain site and that site was sprayed with that chemical, they would be alerted that it was not going to be available until this particular date. We talked about the weather alerts, and those weather alerts and the data that we are pulling in. We are pulling a number of data points depending on which weather site we are connected or where we are pulling the data. Some information is related to wind blowing from a certain side, and that compared to the location itself, because we identify in the system the exact location of the block and the vineyard through Google Maps. So we have the ability to kind of integrate and identify impacts to something that it's nearby. We do also record all kinds of sustainability elements related to the vineyard. Just to add, it just came to my mind as I was talking about the weather. Does that kind of answer your question, Patrick?
It does. And I'm going to just quickly work off that. So like Lumen said, I mean, we record the location, we do have weather station information, and then based on the spray, which is going to give us certain metrics that we can track, we've got logic that we can apply to operations. And based on that, we could say if wind was blowing in a certain direction at a certain gust rate, which is forecasted, there's a possibility or probability that there could be an overrun. And then based on this, on the spray that's going to be used, the chemical that's about to be used, could that be harmful or not? And I mean, it's logic, meaning, it is going to be a whole bunch of functions. If then that's, those type of logical decisions that then will give you information on the screen or an alert to your phone saying you're about to do something. Do you want to do this? Is it okay? Or just be aware that this is going to happen, and then you can make decisions based on that information, which is in real time. All right, thanks, Vladimir. All right, now going across automating compliance reporting. So in this, I'm just trying to say efficient report generation. And with that, with everything being in one system, as you do your operations, as you do any sort of movement of product or anything like that inside the system, the data is recorded. And with the data being recorded in real time, you can generate out your reports or reports that you would normally in historic systems or other systems, you would have to sit and kick off a report to go and gather information about a set of operations you might have had. We do that automatically inside the system. So it's as you do your transactions, it's keeping a running tally of everything that's been done to that lot as that lot has just been created. Or when you do a report, you're not having to go and grab information from other systems and then pull it into a central spot and then run your report. It's already got the information, so it's putting everything right there and then. And if there is a system that it does need to pull some extra data for, as part of the logic that runs for that report, you can have it state that I need to go get information from this other system, validate it, compare it, maybe do some calculations off it, and then display that inside the report. All of that is done in real time. So having that flexibility and that capability allows you to do reports in the traditional sense of I'm going to output to a PDF or a CSV or an Excel document. Or we've got interactive reports, which means it's more on-screen application-esque type of reporting that allows you to then summarize stuff, pivot it out into other types of information, maybe have certain visualizations attached to the report itself. And as you click on each piece of detail inside that report, it can display other things. So you can almost drill into more detailed information on screen as you're going through everything. I know it's not a new concept, but it's something that's built in there that is very quick for you to do. And we'll show you an example a little bit later where once you've got the data inside an application and you kick off this quick report or interactive report, manipulating what you want to see, so columns, if you want to move columns around or you want to exclude certain things, it's very quick for the end user to do. So you're not relying on your IT staff or your business intelligence staff to go and generate out reports for you. You can do this yourself, and quite simply. And then once again, as you do operations or any sort of transaction, you've got the automation piece to then go and generate out any sort of report that you want to do automatically for you. So you don't need to go and do this yourself. You can have the system generate the reports or run reports for you as you go through.
Yeah, very, very useful. We found a lot of users, finding very useful to have the report in PDF format and being able to click and access a transaction, which we'll show you shortly. And if we are staying with the scaling with AI and talking about demand forecasting tools like those help optimize production and reduce waste. And as far as supply demand is concerned, in Nutrax Wine, we do make access to sales forecast data as we previously mentioned, and that can be done through the Nextworld platform, the sales module. It can be integrated to the other systems, as Patrick was mentioning, but also can be imported if there are no other ways for like a smaller winery, so the sales data can be imported in the system. The winemakers have the ability to define a standard age, meaning that they can define the release month for a specific wine that they are making. They have the ability as well to define the carry forward rules, meaning that they can define the tolerance from the standard age when they allow bottling to take place. And having those type of attributes set up and controlled by winemakers in the system allows for those supply demand forecasting reports to be made available at any point in time. So just imagine on how you can see today is January, you can log in and you can see in January exactly what's happening for any lot that you might have in the cellar. It doesn't matter the vintage, what your supply demand position is, and you have the ability to reallocate accordingly or make some decisions that will rebalance, eliminating need for excess inventory, which is very costly exercise that we have seen wineries out there having to go through. And it affects your quality as well because you're looking to release the wine at the ideal date. You're looking to make sure that you have the right supply as per your forecasted sales, and that ensures that the quality consistency it's out there in the marketplace. So with that being said, next segment, Patrick, is...
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thanks, Liubomir. Okay, so let's actually walk through how these strategies have helped real life wineries. I mean, have you got any examples?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. I'll give a couple of quick examples. Medium to large California winery, client of ours, was closing their month end about a little bit over 3 weeks after the physical month end, which was significant. So they were able to save a couple of weeks and were able to close their and perform their month-end activities in a week or less, which resulted in significant annual savings. Another example, if we are talking about, let's say, a smaller winery, an estate-size winery that was using multiple systems to record their winemaking data. By combining and eliminating those systems and having only a single one, they were able to free up valuable resources to focus on core winemaking activities and eliminate non-value activities. So those are a couple of quick examples that come to mind, keeping the time in mind as well, Patrick.
Thank you. And I mean, this hopefully shows that, I mean, the platform itself or the application itself, it's meant for all sizes of a winery. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about a small little, mom and pop type of situation, or we're scaling up to any sort of enterprise type of system. Hopefully you've seen that it's got the backing of pedigree, but it's also got flexibility to be able to do what we need to be able to do. Now, let's hop into the system. So, Liubomir, we're going to walk through the platform itself. So we want to see just a couple of different things over here. So can you just walk us through the system itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just gonna scratch the surface. We're gonna spend the next few minutes on just quickly a few things. Patrick, if you don't mind just going through and opening up the menus, for example. So as you see in here, on what exactly NutraX for Wine covers everything from contract management to winemaking and blending, item management, finance, demand planning, all those different aspects. Everything from vineyard to the finished good is in place. Also available on the Nextwall platform, additional modules are out directly integrated and can be chosen as part of the implementation, let's say, like financials or procurement or inventories. We do have the full set of financials, just to kind of cover that aspect or clarify that aspect. So anything that relates to a farming activity, anything that relates to an activity in the wine production, including additives, including quality, including third-party processing or grape cost or anything else. We do have a detailed costing. We do have cost grouping that can be used. We do have price matrix. We do have pricing incorporated in the contracts, including assessment and donations, and anything that relates to costing of the product is captured. And we'll show maybe perhaps later on a little bit of that in a lot. So the actual cost, it's available at any lot at any point in time throughout the system, and everything gets captured regardless if the activity has happened on the farming side and your lot that's in the cellar. Now you can still see those transactions or any quality tests or any costing that took place from that perspective. So let's go into the grape contracts if you're in grape contracts, Patrick. And if you don't mind, just open up a grape contract in there. We give an example a little bit earlier about a winery that was handling contracts manually before. Nutrax Wine automatically handles contract statuses, so based on date ranges, whatever, like evergreen termination dates or contract start and end dates. It's a kind of a complex logic. Depends if evergreen status it's part of the contract or it's not part of the contract. So the contract status automatically is changed by the system, and it doesn't have to be manually changed and manually figured out by the user. At the same time, the system automatically generates the new harvest records or the new contract codes that need to be generated, and the user doesn't have to manually create those. So that's kind of very quickly on the contract side.
Perfect, Liubomir. I'm just going to quickly run through. So one of our information dashboards, we've got a page. A page has got a whole bunch of different cards on here. Can have different types of information, but the piece that we want to show you here is a overview of what would be shown on your business. So we're talking locations, we're talking about capacity oversights. It can work at your intake versus actual, so your estimate versus actual. And if you go into any one of these, it will show your down to the vessel, what's inside the vessel from a volume standpoint, and then how much of that vessel is actually used, or so I mean, what your utilization is at the minute. And I'm just going to quickly go with Liubomir on why is capacity so important to be visible.
Yeah, well, definitely, especially during harvest, it's kind of a key information. If you're looking to maximize your capacity, then you need to have visibility exactly where you stand. If you have multiple sites and you have some flexibility of directing the very end incoming grapes or redirecting them from your schedule because of some capacity constraints, this type of picture gives you, the right information to make the right decisions and be balanced and also, like I said, if you're looking to maximize your intake.
Perfect, thanks. And then I mentioned a little bit earlier on, I mean, track and trace, we've got a way to be able to display this a little bit. So this was just a very simple intake through to actually racking out. And you can have a graphical representation of this where you can move it around. You've got your timeline over here. And you can also see, like, we've got a weigh tag. It went through a crush, another weigh tag. There's another crush. There's a rack and return to must. There's a drain and press. So, I mean, it tracks through each one of its operations, just as a visual standpoint. So just something to be a little bit more visual for users. And then just moving across into demand planning. So we've got a report here. And Liubomir, do you just want to do a very quick overview of what would be the information he has seen for this type of report?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of very quickly, let's say if you stop right here, for example, and you're looking for, I think in this case, let me see what you have on the screen. You have a base wine and you see all the products that the base wine it's being used into. Those will be your finished goods under demand column in there. And because you're connected directly with your manufacturing and your bottling schedule, you have the scheduled bottling numbers coming in, and they are translated from cases into volume. And then you have your inventory, and you can see how your inventory is being depleted and what situation you're in. So practically at the end of October, you're still going to have quite a bit of inventory in stock. If you're switching now, do you have perhaps like a grape detail plan report available?
Yeah, so what we're going to show you here is on the grape detail report. So this is an application It gathers all the information for you. But like I said earlier, you got the option to be able to do a report quick start, right? And through this, it grabs all the information that was visible there on the screen, and it gives you this report builder in a way. And let's just say you don't really care about, is it red or is it white? So you want to get rid of that variety type over there, which is the color. So we're going to get rid of that out of the field. And let's say we really want to have our tier level as the first option that's going to be displayed here. So let's move that around. So doing that, you can then click on view the report. It's going to generate out the report that you've just had. So, I mean, tier level is now in the front. Got rid of that red, white type column. And from here, you've got the option to be able to export to a CSV or a PDF. PDF, you can give it a name. Let's just call it demo 1. You want a timestamp on there for argument's sake. You can change font size if you wanted. And then you can also save different report names if you really wanted to as well. Right there, you export it. You will get a notification once it's finished running. I'm just going to speed this process up just a little bit. And I am going to go to our report executions. All right. And this should be our output that we've just done. Once again, just showing that, it's the report that we just did, the tier level. We got rid of the color field. It's got a timestamp on there. It's called demo 1, which is what we just called it. So, I mean, you've got a little bit of flexibility on what you want to do there. So just something nice, quick, and simple. And guys, I'm just going to move on just because we are running short on time here. So back over here. So one other thing that we just want to hit home on is the system itself, the platform. Again, it's given us the flexibility to be able to create applications, but it also gives you as the users the ability to be able to either extend or create applications. But one of the key things that we want to say is, I mean, the systems out there at the moment, everyone comes in, they'll go, listen, this is how the application works. This is what you need to do to make your business work with the application. And one of our core feelings on it is we want to make sure that when we come in, we're learning who you guys are as a customer, what you guys do as a business. And that's what this platform allows us to do, is mold the outcome to what you as a company does. I mean, listen, there's going to be guidelines in there. There are certain set rules that need to be followed. But in terms of day-to-day tasks, the way that something's done, the look and feel of an application, that's where the flexibility of a no-code, low-code type of platform allows you to move with this and generate out, additional data items, additional tables that you might want. You build that into your application. Logic blocks, very key, because you build your functionalities through that, and you get things to be able to work because of that. Workflows, how do you actually do things as a business? What flow do you need to happen? And then reports. I mean, I've shown you the quick, interactive report builders. There is a fully fledged report building tool itself inside this platform that allows you to do so much more. Leveraging off things like logic blocks to build better solutions. So yeah, Ludmila, have you got anything to add there?
Just to kind of, I know we are, I think 5 minutes, it's what we have left. But to kick off the question and answer sections, a very common question that I get from either vineyard managers or winemakers is why they should choose Nutract's wine over why they prefer or established solution, if we can address that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate what I've just said is, going to a more tailored solution to meet your specific needs is the key aspect here. It's that flexibility, it's the speed of development, the rapid way that things can be updated. you no longer need standard developers on your payroll, either as consultants or as staff. It's more you engage with well, your service provider, get your bases sorted, and then from then on, training is given to staff to then be able to leverage your own staff. You've got smart people on your payroll, so to be able to utilize them to help build out further applications, and if need be, I mean, we're always there to help out, advise or assist with the building process. But it's getting control back to yourself as a business to be able to do what you need to do, how you need to do it. All right, Andrew, I'm going to hand it back to you. Have there been any questions?
Thank you. No questions that I can see yet from our attendees, excuse me, but I do have one or two. I noticed, going back to your platform while you were demoing it, I think I saw a calculator for additions. Is that correct? Do you have calculators incorporated in your system?
Yes, we do. We've got a vast array of calculators. I think there's at least 24, 25 different calculators that Lumia was able to build out with both the platform, and then we've also got a additional free calculators built out on our website as well. So there's two ways of doing it. But yeah, it handles everything from being able to calculate certain acid requirements, or you want to give a couple of quick examples?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are calculation functions that are part of standard transactions. So if you're using, let's say, an additive, there are already functional calculations that are taking place as the standard function. If you're working with barrels, let's say, for example, there are also, calculations and part of the standard functionality itself. So not only that we have calculators available as a separate entity, if somebody needs to kind of utilize them, they are definitely free to do so. But also, where it makes sense, we do those calculations during the transactional process. So it makes it simple for the user. Doesn't have to go outside the system, use a calculator, or even in the system use a calculator, calculate, and then come back and input the data. It can have the data already pre-calculated if that's defined by certain characteristics.
Andrea, you said another question?
Thank you. Yes, but I see a comment from Mark. It says, so with no code, wrapping, prototyping, and innovating on the fly is not an issue. Love the idea of tailoring the solution to the winery without technical debt. So I thought that was cool comment.
That's a good point. No, thank you for that. Yeah, and I mean, once again, that rapid prototyping, again, not needing to go and sit down and work with maybe a CNC staff on the JDE side, that could take you a week to get a simple change, as simple change as adding a new column into a table view. I mean, that can be done in minutes on this side. So yeah, definitely rapid prototyping.
Yeah, thanks. And my other question was also about your platform. I noticed the tab saying recipes. What is that?
Well, maybe I'll take that one.
Yeah, go for it.
So in general, recipes, as far as a winemaking concept, it's not widely embraced or something like that. At the end of the day, winemaking, it's an art, and the winemaker, it's an artist, and there are certain things that cannot be relied necessarily on the recipes. But as you go more into the commercial winemaking, and that's where it's more applicable, and when you're driving certain products, and it could be a wine-related product as well. So let's say if you're doing a flavor product, or if you're doing a wine-based product, it requires those type of elements. Or if you're doing a commercial wine where you're going to use something consistent. From that perspective, it's kind of use cases where that come into play. If you're a really small winery, high-end winery that it's making, 10 products altogether, you don't need the recipe concept.
Thank you. That makes sense, especially with the specialty wines and wine-based products, aromatized. Yeah, I can see how that can come handy. Question: what size winery warrants the costs?
Right question. I'm going to answer that in two ways. Number one of our smaller wineries that we've got on the books at the minute, is between 15 and 20,000 cases a year. However, I have been assured that we will work with any size customer. We will work with them on what can be delivered for a price point that is affordable in their eyes, and just work from that. So I mean, working with anyone, that's not an issue. Like again, I said mom and pop type of wineries, and I mean it.
Right, but also we can definitely cover any size to up to the largest possible. As far as how costs are determined, to kind of take on that question that's available, is it's like not two wineries are the same. Each winery it's different. So each winery has its own challenges and its own situation. Somebody might dry their grapes before they are processing. Somebody does sparkling, somebody does not. There are different aspects, and there are different saving opportunities, because at the end of the day, there has to be an ROI when you're implementing a system, and it has to be a clear benefit. So that it depends on your specific situation. So we would sit down with you, understand exactly what your situation is, and then we can provide that tailored solution to you and the benefits from cost perspective.
Thank you. Any other questions at this point? Right, I think that is it. And with that, I would like to say thank you, Patrick and Liubomir, for your presentation. Very interesting to learn about your system. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. Please, please, please take 2 minutes of your time to fill out that survey that will pop up. It helps me in my program. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you next time. Cheers.